Okay, so I'm going to continue with this piece, and if this for some reason while I'm fluting it or something it breaks, I do have another piece from Michael, which made me pretty happy to see this in here. So even if this doesn't work out, I can still use this piece here to make that Clovis. And I'm in a different location, so there might be some wind noise and maybe some background noises. Hopefully that won't be too bad. Okay, so let's see. In the last video, I dinged up the bit, the aluminum bit. So I'm just going to file that down before I do this next series of thinning flakes. Okay, and I have used aluminum before in the past, and you know, a bunch of other types of materials like brass and steel, of course, antler and buffalo horn. I've also tried just plain plastic for indirect percussion. I've tried wood. I've tried different types of wood, and you know, sometimes people will hammer the bits, copper bits, to make the copper stronger. And there's kind of a differentiation between people who hammer and harden or twist and harden the copper to those who don't and just strictly file the copper and without hardening it. Which, you know, there's filers and there's hammerers, I guess. Anyway, I'm pretty much a filer because I've used many different materials, and some of them cannot be hardened by pounding or twisting. So I just file everything basically, and that goes for my copper, aluminum. Everything is just filed. So I'm in the filer category. And like I said, some materials will not respond to hammering or hardening. And I don't fire harden wood. I find that it makes the wood more brittle and more difficult to nap with if you fire harden it. So I'm pretty much a filer or a sander for everything. And let's see, I prefer a rounded, although I can make it beveled. I can put a beveled type of or chisel type of tip on here, but I prefer rounded because it's much easier. I may do a bevel on here in the future, in the near future, to show you how that works, but for now I'll just stick with the rounded. Okay. Alright, I'm going to switch over to completely modern tools here. Modern abrader and so forth. Pretty much the same process, but it's much faster with a modern abrader. But you know, you got to be careful because it also removes a lot more material. It is possible to make the platforms too strong or too dull, and you don't want to do that. Okay, so I have a lot of mass here that I can use to run flakes this way and try to center this bullseye by removing mass from this side. I think that's what I might do, but we'll see how it goes. It may end up being off center, which is not, you know, not a bad deal, but we'll see how it goes. Now, I have studied Clovis manufacture, and some Clovis points have signs of, you know, coast-to-coast flaking or overshot flaking. But on the St. Louis style, at least according to what I've researched, I don't see much of that on this style. And it's fairly wide also. So overshot flaking will make it narrow very fast. So I don't want to do any of that on this one. Now if I had a wider piece, maybe I would do a couple overshot flakes to, you know, to flatten it out, because these St. Louis style Clovis points are very thin. I'm not going to go really thin on this one because it's too risky for the video. And I'm being overly cautious on the base here because I don't want to snap it again in the middle. I'm not putting a lot of pressure. not putting a lot of percussion on the base. And what that does is it weakens your strikes and you end up with a lot of short flakes and steps. But I'd rather that happen than snap it again. I think the camera is too close to the striker, so I don't know. It's hopefully I get this to work right. I'm in a different location, like I said. I'm using a different stool also, much closer to the floor. And what I'm doing is I'm trying to make as perfect a preform as I can. Getting everything nicely convex. The spot where that bullseye is a little tough. I'm going to try to run a flake over the top of that. You know, without going all the way across. And that worked out okay. Okay. I don't want to lose too much off of this side, so I'm going a little slower. I'm not too worried about these really small step fractures or very thin. They can be removed later. Okay, so that's pretty much the pass on this side. So I'm gonna stop it here and see if I can upload this portion while I'm working on the next side, and that'll speed up the process of uploading this, hopefully. That step fracture here, I'm gonna remove it from this side here. So most of these other flakes are gonna come off of this side going this way. Okay, and then I'll after I get it down to a good thinness, I'll do the fluting. And then the final pass of flakes after that on the edges. I won't need to do too much on this side if the flakes go correctly on this and feather out. So hopefully this bullseye will end up right in the middle. Maybe slightly off, but hopefully in the middle. Okay.